Hi, my name is Ed Salek, and the show is in honor of, and Paul will probably tell you in a few seconds, this is our 304th show that we're doing, and enjoying every minute of it. Something about being a veteran, our veterans are not all aware of everything that they should have in the way of benefits, in the way of help, and we try and bring them that. And the guy that helps them bring that is known as a service officer. And with us, we have John Bartow today. John is the senior service officer in the Eastern District, New York. Am I correct, John?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he pretty much keeps things rolling. And his job is to help all of the vets that are out there from whatever era they're from, whether it be Vietnam, whether it be Desert Storm or Afghanistan. He's there to help them and to bring them up to date in what they should have, what they could have, and things that'll make their life probably a little bit better. Now, and of course, I welcome my co-host, Paul Dietrich, who really makes this show work. He comes up with everybody to come on the show, and he twists their arm and he says, I used to be a colonel, so you will do what I say. And hence we got John Bartow. John, can you tell us, in your own words, what is a service officer?
The service officer is a member and employee of a national veteran service organization. So there's several dozen of them. Some of the more popular ones are the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Vietnam Veterans Association, but there's literally dozens. So most of these service organizations have a staff of service officers that whose job is to advocate for veterans and to provide them with, most importantly, information about what they're entitled to, what benefits they can receive from the Department of Veterans Affairs, from their individual state, their community. So we kind of make sure that the veteran gets everything that they earned by virtue of their service.
And you, of course, are a veteran yourself.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about your service?
Yes, sir, I did. I went into the Army in 1989, and I spent 5 years in there as an airborne infantryman with several...
Jumped out of good planes.
I did, yep. And spent 5 very exciting years with the Army, served all over the world, did lots of interesting things. Then I switched over to the Air Force Reserve, and I was trained as a C-130 aircrew member, loadmaster, and traveled the entire globe doing that. It was very, very exciting. I eventually took after about a 4-year period of part-time service, I went back on active duty as an aircrew member. Served on all 7 continents, a little over 113 countries, all 50 states, and then I retired in 2016, and was very excited to get this position.
Well, thank you for your service and welcome home.
Thank you, and thank you.
Yeah. So you've been out there and you know what it's like and what it's for these guys coming home from Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yes.
You have a pretty good idea. So.
I have a good idea. You know, one thing that I got to see that really helps me with this job is we worked with all the services. You know, we worked with Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard. So I got exposed to a lot of different professions in the military by virtue of flying the guys somewhere, talking to them, flying their equipment. And we got a real good handle on what a lot of the veterans go through as part of their job or their occupation.
Yeah. And the other thing you mentioned to us in the green room just earlier, which kind of caught me off guard, you have to go for training 3 times a year.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's refresher training.
That's refresher training, which is, surprising. I thought maybe 1 time a year you'd get an update, but
No.
3 times a year, that's, for the benefit of the veterans, that's really important.
It is. The VFW, the National Veteran Service, is an arm of the VFW, and they take their commitment to being very up to date with changes in law, procedure, regulation. So the National Veteran Service takes keeping us informed very, very seriously. and also making us as proficient as we can possibly be. There's a wide array of computer applications and things that we have to be on top of in order to get information to help the veteran. And our national service is dedicated to keeping us highly trained.
That's very important. And for you veterans that are out there, pay attention right now, because if you try and do it on your own, chances are, and I know from experience, chances are you're going to get no place fast, okay? If you go to a service officer, the odds change literally 100%.
Yes.
I mean, the service officer delivers for you.
This is like having a complicated tax situation. You work in one state, you live in another state, you have to pay taxes here, you have to pay taxes there. To me, you have a person who is certified by the VA, and besides the refresher training, you had to go through an initial course of training and testing, and then you have the refresher training to keep you current on what's going on, what things have changed, what benefits have changed, what's now available that wasn't before. This is what you want when you're dealing with a large organization like the VA or any of the providers of services to veterans. And the service is free. There's no charge. You don't charge people for helping them with their claims. It's there. And you do not have to be a member. And a lot of the other shows we've talked to you veterans out there about joining the organizations, you don't have to be a member to be eligible to go for the services. John will help you whether you're a member or not. Very important factor out there for you.
That's very true, very true.
John, let's take it from the top. Let's say Paul is a returning vet that just came home from Iraq, okay?
Okay.
And now he wants to go see his service officer to find out his status as to the VA and everything else. Assuming he just walked into your office, how do you handle it from there?
Okay, the first thing we do is administrative. We would take Paul's power of attorney and officially make ourselves his representative. We'd let the VA know that Paul's going to file a claim within the next year. What this does, like if he came into me today, it's April the 20th, we would put in an intent to file. So even if it took a whole year for that claim to be adjudicated, Paul would be paid back to today. His April would be his first effective month of benefits.
Right.
That whole entire process takes about 5 minutes. Then I would want to sit with Paul and have a very informal veteran-to-veteran discussion. Where you been? What have you done? What's your family situation like? What this does is this gives me an idea of what he might need. A lot of guys are looking to transition into education programs. They're looking to maybe use the VA home loan guarantee benefit. Some guys are in more critical need. They might be at risk of being homeless. They might need health care. So what I'm doing is I'm getting a good idea of Paul's needs, his wants. And that's informal. I take good case notes on all that information. And then we set him an appointment, generally anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks from that initial meeting. And during that time, we're allowing the VA to uphold its duty to assist veterans by uploading his medical records, his military personnel records. I'll review them and I'll go through them. And then at the meeting is where we match up what Paul thinks he needs, what I can help him in getting as far as benefits, and how the evidentiary process with the VA works. That's when I explain, a lot of times veterans will think, I have this that I want to be service connected for, and I explain to them how they can or cannot be connected for that benefit based upon the rules of evidence that the VA uses. Once that's done, that appointment can take anywhere from half an hour to several hours, depending on the complexity of your medical condition, of your wants and needs. We fill out all the paperwork, we sew it up, put the claim in, and then from that point on, we monitor the claim. And probably most importantly, is what we do at the end. Once the claim's adjudicated, we review it for accuracy, we review it for legality, and we have to approve the claim decision before it reaches the veteran. I do want to clear up one bit of potential confusion right off the bat. Is a lot of veterans will say, hey, my claim came back a lot lower than I wanted it to. It's not our job to change the rating decision all the time, although there are rare circumstances where we do address the VA and say, hey, you guys messed up, and the claim decision is changed. Most importantly, we're making sure that the VA does everything legally and thoroughly for the veteran. And then if we have any arguments to present, we do that through the appeals process. So that's pretty much in a nutshell how the whole process works from end to end.
Now, before we get any further, let me ask you, the members have your contact number, how to reach you?
Yes.
And we'll probably repeat that again later on in the program. But if you would give your contact numbers out, I appreciate it.
Sure. Our main office is in Albany, and the reason we do that here in the Eastern Sector is that's where my administrative assistant is. Her name is Miss Destiny Ramos. That would be who you're speaking to. She's wonderful, proficient, and an absolute expert in her job. So you'd be first speaking with her, and the number's 518-626-5687. I can also be reached by email at john.bartow, B-A-R-T-O-W, @va.gov. And once you get in contact with her, she kind of, I think her proficiency throws people off because she's so good and she's fast. She's going to get you surfing the wave, and you'll be well on your way. And that will be who you're most likely speaking to first.
Okay.
Now, my understanding is that you commute over the entire eastern portion of the New York State. Should it be necessary for face-to-face discussions, or even for claims or things like that, where you have to appeals, things like that? Can you
Yes,
talk
sir.
a little bit about that?
Absolutely. The vast majority of the time, claims work can be done over the phone. I like to have an idea what the veteran looks like, meet them face to face, establish rapport. We can do almost everything we do over the telephone. We also communicate with veterans via fax, email, text, snail mail. You know, we have no problem sending a veteran anything they need at no expense to them, of course. And we do travel between the Albany Medical Center and the New York City Regional Office. We have an office at Albany at 113 Holland Ave is our office up there in the VA Medical Center. And we also have an office at 245 West Houston Street, which is downtown Manhattan.
Right on 7th Avenue.
Yep. And we meet, we're absolutely willing to set appointments at either location and meet with veterans as they might require.
Okay. Can you give us a little, without naming names, of course, some of the types of claims that you've seen and some of the assistance that you've been able to give veterans?
Okay. Something our office is very proud of. When I first started, we work in conjunction with the Veterans Affairs HUD-VASH, it's called, which is the homeless program.
Right.
I had a referral from a HUD-VASH social worker that we had a veteran that was living in his car with his wife, who was handicapped, and their son. And I brought it in, and I found that this veteran had really got a bad deck in life. He had got dealt some really difficult cards. And I could tell from being a former senior NCO in the Air Force that this guy was the real deal. He was a good guy who just got a real bad situation. His wife had had a stroke, and it was very difficult. It resulted in his discharge, great hardship to him. So we worked together with HUD-VASH, we worked together with some local nonprofit agencies, and we triaged the situation. We said, let's get this guy somewhere to live, and the VA helped. The VA did that, and then let's get his benefits applied for. So we got his benefits applied for, and that application went in August, and as of today, he's He's bringing home about $50,000 a year, and he's living in an apartment and transitioning. The VA has given him the opportunity to transition into a civilian life much more smoothly and with medical support, with benefit support. So our ultimate hope for this gentleman is that he goes to school for what he wants to learn, gets a good job through the VA vocational rehabilitation program, and is back on his feet. They're also helping him with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, stuff like that. Now, another soft spot for me that I'd like to bring up that is very, very important to me is widows, most especially of our Vietnam veterans. I encourage all Vietnam veterans, people of the Vietnam era, to please, please come see me. You know, the reality of the matter is that our veterans that served during that time period are getting older. They're starting to pass. They may be misinformed. There's a lot of, I call them smoking room rumors out there. And I want to dispel those rumors for these families, have everything set up to transition for end-of-life planning, and have these spouses, these men and women that are spouses of these veterans, taken care of before the grieving period, because it's the saddest thing for me to see a widow come in who just lost their husband, and their husband may have misinformed them accidentally. You know, he might not have known any better and told his wife, "You'll be taken care of," or "This will happen." And I just want to make sure that happens for these families. So I would encourage them to please seek us out. Let us. It takes 10 minutes to give you a folder and staple my business card to it and say, you know, in the end, give me a call. Working with the younger guys, the Afghanistan and Iraq guys, is very unique because there's a lot of unique challenges that come with that. Yeah. A lot of these guys aren't ready to be disabled or out of work for the rest of their lives when they're in their mid-20s, mid-30s.
Right.
So something that we do with them is we try and find a way, a total package way to get them the disability benefits they deserve while getting them set up to move into the next chapter of their life and be successful. I mean, these guys are bringing a lot of good skill sets into the civilian workplace. So we want to help them find jobs. We want to help them find skills. And we work very hard to do that for our younger gentlemen.
It's very important.
It is. And women, pardon me, and women.
Yeah. In a way, it sounds like you are the guardian angel for the returning vet.
We try.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what we attempt to do. It's a very busy endeavor. We have just since June, we've worked with over 1,100 veterans. Our phone rings constantly. We're super busy.
That's good.
It is good. We do like to point out to the veterans that there'll never be enough service officers to meet the demand. But we also point out to them at the same time, we will never forget you. If you don't get a call back for 48 hours, it's simply because we're busy. We will always get back to you, always.
Very important items. And I strongly urge all of our veterans out there, please get in touch with John. You've gotten his information, we'll give it again, but it's very important that you get in touch. Get what you earned. You served, you earned this. This is what your government is giving you back. Get what you deserve.
That is absolutely true, yes.
Any disappointments that you've encountered in this job as a service officer?
Of course. Some of the I always explain to veterans, people are quick to get angry with the VA. It's been my experience so far, especially here at the regional office, that the Veterans Benefits Administration is doing a fantastic job. They're working really, really hard. Their motto is grant if you can, deny if you must. So if you look at that, from the simplest rater all the way up to veterans law judges, they are struggling to find a way to help veterans get connected for these disabilities. However, the rule of law applies to all transactions within the Veterans Benefits Administration. So the handcuffs And the things stopping our veterans from getting full benefits it's the law. And like any other human endeavor, it's imperfectly written. There are times where the VBA cannot grant a benefit to the veteran because of the law. It's disappointing, but it's the best imperfect system that they have. I can say that VBA is doing their best. Now, I would like to note real quick for your viewers, the Veterans Administration is divided into 3 agencies: the Veterans Benefits Administration, the Veterans Healthcare Administration, and the National Cemetery. Service officers work with all 3 of those. Most often the Veterans Benefits Administration, but we can assist veterans obtaining health care. We can assist them with end-of-life issues that would involve the National Cemetery. So I'm speaking mostly about the Veterans Benefits Administration. I am extremely impressed with how dedicated those individuals are and how hard they work for our vets. And they work very well with us. I will note that here in New York City, the regional office in New York City, the leadership of that regional office is absolutely dedicated to working with the service officers for the best outcome for the veteran. They've actually made accommodations for us to where we have access directly to the leadership, and they work extremely hard. And I have dozens of examples of great things they've done for our vets. So I can't speak highly enough about them.
I'd like to give a couple of examples of items where the law hasn't yet caught up with the reality of it. And one of them, for example, was just recently that the law was changed or voted on for Blue Water Navy and Agent Orange.
Yes.
And for anybody that served in the Navy, you realize that the way they make fresh water on a ship is they distill it out of the ocean.
Yes.
So if you sprinkle toxins on the ground in a country, it's going to wash into the ocean and end up in the water on the ships.
Yes.
And now the law is being changed so that the sailors who served on those ships would be eligible for benefits, particularly from Agent Orange. That's an important one. Another example, I served in Korea, as you did, and up on the DMZ, they used Agent Orange there for a period of time.
They did.
However, you can have one veteran who served there during the right period, and he's eligible for benefits, and somebody that served 6 months before him is not, because it doesn't cover the whole period. And these are, when we hear about things like that, that's when us, and I'm on the legislative committee, so I can go and talk to the legislators and say, this makes no sense.
Yes.
And that's how we get things like the Blue Water Navy changed, by hearing about these discrepancies that just don't make any sense and trying to get them changed in law,
And
so that then those veterans are eligible.
you're exactly right. Yeah, those are some of the bigger disappointments. They'd be on the legislative side, not jokingly, more sarcastically, we say, did the lawmakers not account for the wind?
Yes.
We've had destroyers that have been 3 miles offshore doing fire support operations during Vietnam, and the wind blows from west to east in all parts of the world. So Agent Orange definitely, once it was sprayed, headed east, and very possibly could have been in those blue waters. So, so we're very hopeful that legislation will reflect that in the future. Some things I'd like to emphasize for veterans in our area. Number one is call us. Always call us. I want to put a plug in for our staff and our experts. We are our state veteran services led by our junior vice commander for the state, Thomas Tadaro. He's an excellent and supportive boss. He allows us to just run and work as hard as we want. He's a good mentor. He's a very effective leader as far as dedication to the veterans and keeping us proficient. There's lots of VFW accredited service officers in the counties in Yonkers. We have Mr. Rick Gales out in the town of Hempstead, who is my personal mentor and an absolute expert at issues dealing with the VA. And my assistant, Destiny Ramos, she gets promoted this summer to claims consultant.
Excellent.
Yes, which means I'm very excited about that. That means that she will be fully accredited by the VA and the VFW. She'll go to her initial training in August. Her first trip to the regional office is with me this May to introduce her to the staff down there. And she is passionate about helping veterans. She is very dedicated to the mission. So we're excited about what's coming. Our focus right now as an organization is to build the network that can be most effective for our vets. We're working with the VA, we're working with nonprofit organizations, we're working with anyone basically who proves that they provide a viable and valuable service to veterans. We want to hear from you. We want to give the veterans the maximum effect possible. And the best way that's done is through a network. No one person can go around and solve all the problems with all the veterans. There's so many of them, especially in our area. So having a strong network and being able to call the right person and say, I need you to help this person is key. But where that starts is with the veteran, they have to give us a call. There's so many people that come in thinking there's nothing for them. And in the majority of those instances, we're able to demonstrate to them, yes, there is. We can help you in at least a very small way. You know, we can help you with breaks with your property taxes. We can help you find education, potentially find education for your family, depending on the degree of your service connection. So I want to emphasize that, you know, never hesitate to contact us. We will do our best.
And once again, let's give your contact number to the public.
Oh, yes, it's 518-626-5687.
For you veteran that's out there that thinks they're on their own, well, brother, you're not.
Never.
You're not on your own. You've got a whole network of service officers and organizations that are there to help you.
You've got to reach out. You've got to reach to us.
So I'd like to thank you for watching in honor of. It's always our pleasure. John Bartow, thank you so much.
Thank you,
traveled
sir.
all the way down from the Adirondacks to be with us.
It's not a problem. It's my home area, so I love it. So
he comes down to spend time with us, and we'll look forward to doing this again with you.
yes, sir.
Paul, as always, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for helping
Thanks,
put
John.
this together.
You're very welcome.
John, thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
You keep watching in honor of. We love you for watching. God bless.